Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the We Too All Liberians Movement platform, your distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. Again, this is your one and only distinct platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. And so, if you have tuned in, I ask that you begin to share this live. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. I guess the time now is a little past 8 p.m. I am your host, C. Ayiti Williams. Our show today is not going to be that structure. Is a little, I'll say it's a little open mic. That is, we're going to be discussing an array of topics. And so if you are watching, like I did several weeks ago, I would like this edition of the show to be a little bit more interactive, where you can you just try to charm me with some ideas and things of that nature. But I'd like to preference today's show by extending sympathy. I guess one of representative from the Grand Jita district, I would say county, passed. We are all in it together. If an individual from that region suffer or a family suffer a loss, we are going through that loss. And so want to extend sympathy, want to extend our condolences to the family, friends, loved ones, as well as the citizens of the Republic of Liberia. With that being said, I'd like to just begin our show pretty much. The number one, I believe, topic that I would like to kind of dwell on today is peace and reconciliation, because I believe last several weeks topic that I kind of talked about, we pretty much we're done with the elections. And I think what's more important here also is to talk about how we can reconcile our differences, because we see for a fact here that our country is to a large extent polarized, and we can talk about that peace and reconciliation, and if we can bridge those gaps, if we can come together as one, I believe strongly we will be heading in the right direction. But it seems to me that we're still divided, and there can never be no peace structure on TV, on lies, on chicanery, on injustices, and things of that nature. So we will all have to come clean, reconcile differences in the interest of this sweet land of liberty that we all call Mama Liberia. I think, in fact, that should have been the primary topic of discussion right after elections. The real truth is, one would say that the Unity Party did win the election, but what I think is Liberians won. All of us won the election. It didn't matter who actually, from my perspective, if CDC had won the election, it means that the voice of the citizens, spoke. I would say from that perspective, it means that our democracy, or one could say our democracy or democracy, from different actions we'll be speaking here, could say that won, and because it seems to me that there's still some huge level of divisiveness, and until we can come together, until we can bridge that gap, we can never have our country move in that direction that we we want the country to move. And so let us all come together as one and see this country from the perspective of peace, tranquility, love, honesty, sincerity, so that we can have a better Liberia. Without doing that, our efforts would be in vain. And so that's something that the We Too All Liberians movement likes to pretty much talk about and to kind of teach, promote, and propagate. Unity with unity, success is a show. I would like to begin today's show. There's a couple of things that I also want to talk about. I want to dwell a little bit on road construction. Pretty much give a little background on civil engineering. Talk a little bit about maybe let me just kind of target a bridge here, or maybe talk a little bit about contract, things of that nature. Benjamin Elijah Mays of Morehouse College, somewhere around 2 years after the Civil War in America, 37 men were formed. They were ex-slaves, blacks for that matter, will form the first class. That's the graduating class of Morehouse College. And these 37 men decided to be teachers, and some decided to be preachers. The objective was to go back and then, help the university retrain students, and then teach students who would come out now would be lawyers, doctors, there would be engineers, and the whole 9 yards. So what am I trying to say here? We can see that people were willing, 2 years after that Civil War, the black, because Morehouse College is a historical black college. And these individuals decided to sacrifice themselves so that they could build other people, strengthen other people, change the lives of other people. And that's the basis on which the We Too All Liberians movement has been established to ensure that we're strengthening our fellow men. We're strengthening our brothers and our sisters. Without doing that, we can never have the Liberia that we want. And so, each one help one, like I always said, and I wanted to use that little expose just to kind of remind us that we have a responsibility as citizens to ensure that, we're working towards the upliftment of that country, so that the country that we once had. Some of us had the opportunity. We were young, but not that young, to enjoy, to a large extent, to enjoy that country. There were peace, there was tranquility. You went to good schools, even if your parents could not afford to send you to Catholic schools, there were government schools, there were technical schools, some of our parents, our mom, our pops, that sold in the marketplaces. People were selling in the marketplaces and they sent their children to good schools, so now that, especially for those of you who find yourself now in the diaspora, now with everything that you have acquired now and all the education that you have acquired and everything, we have a responsibility to ensure that we want to go back and help rebuild that country. How can we do it? You can do it by strengthening someone, by empowering someone, not encouraging someone to be on the side where they encourage to encourage the dependency rate. What we want to encourage here is to ensure that we're strengthening people so that we can eradicate, or if not eradicate, but we can minimize the dependency rate. I just wanted to introduce that. But today, I want to talk a little bit because the country now, there's a lot of things that we need to do, there's a lot of things, and each one help one. Depending on your background, depending on your expertise, if you can come, and work towards the upliftment of that country, that would be nice. So tonight, let me just, like I said, I have a proposal, but I want to talk a little bit about bridge construction, and maybe I'll delve a little bit into road construction, which is, I think, is of vital importance. If we can begin to touch on that, I think it's going to help our country in a lot of ways, shape and form. So by definition, civil engineering is an engineering discipline that has to do with design, pretty much planning, designing, fabrication, construction, maintenance, and operations of public works. Again, let me define what civil engineering is. Civil engineering, by definition, is an engineering discipline that has to do with planning, designing, fabrication, construction, maintenance, operation, and maintenance of public works. So let's look at a bridge for that example, for that matter. A bridge, a simple span bridge, maybe a concrete bridge, because I don't want to get into steel bridge, because I know for the most part, a lot of our bridges in Liberia, besides the ones that we built, using wood and things like that, but I'm talking about standardized bridge. And like I said before, we will consider contract. Before I even get into that. So we say a contract is an agreement between, the contractor and for Liberia. Since Liberia, the bridges are owned by the government, which is the Department of Public Works or the department. So now a bridge, a simple span bridge will compose of the superstructure. I should have something here to draw a little bit of diagram. We'll have the superstructure. You will have your abutments. You will have your the parapets. You will have the approach slabs. You will have wing walls. You will have the footings and things of the sort. But before we do that, we have to make sure that the department have already engaged a contractor, a design firm, or maybe the department has her in-house design team. So that's one aspect. But what's more important is, like I said before, if we can now identify, professionals that would sit down and begin to pen our contracts and our specifications. So we put those contract and specifications together. Those are documents, or that will be more of our Bible that we will use for our construction. That is, it'll tell us how our bridges are to be built, depending on that bridge, the kind of bridge. Like I said, I'm talking about a simple span bridge. It tells us the class of concrete. It tells us the rebars. It tells us the coarse aggregate. In Liberia, we call it crushed rock. It tells us the fine aggregate. That will be the sand. It tells us the type of Portland cement that we will be using. As we all know, Portland cement is pretty much the most universally used construction material. So now we have we've put together our specification. That's something, contract and specification, and maybe we'll also have special provisions that would supersede our specifications. And so, for example, we name our specification. We can just find a name. This is specification 212. That will be 4. And the one thing I mentioned the last time, we'll talk about our roadway classification. Whether we'll have, not even whether, we will have national roads. We'll have intercounty roads, and then we will have municipal roads. So what I want to talk about, I just want to right now generalize it and just narrow it to a bridge construction. So now, for example, the design work has been done, and our specification in terms of our footing, we identify the real estate where that bridge is going to be built. There are other things we have to take into consideration, our ENS plan, erosion sediment control, because we have our streams. We have our creeks, we have our rivers, storm, because when building, in construction, we have all these construction materials that sometimes, we have spill. And when we have these spills, if we don't have the erosion sediment control, all of those waste might be discharged into, I would say, depending now, because we'll talk about drainage. So there might be spill into drainage or drainages, or they might be spilled into our creeks. They might be spilled into our rivers, and things like that. In developing countries, you have runoffs. So when you have these construction operations going on, you want to make sure that the areas that the construction project is being conducted is barricaded or is safeguarded. To protect the environment, to protect our streams, to protect our rivers. And the reason why I'm trying to bring this to the fore, I know it's kind of a little bit broad because I don't think Liberia have reached that stage, but we also need to introduce it. So now we have our design team. They've put together this design for this simple span bridge. So what we have to do, we go down there. We've preserved we have the real estate, and we're doing excavation. Excavation is done based on the plan. We'll do something we call pod driving, and that pod driving is basically we're driving steel into the ground to actually establish the footing, and based on the depth, we will actually have hydraulic hammer. We drive these piles into the ground to establish the foundation. And then now we go back to what I was saying, and we have to make sure that we have our experts, in-house technocrats who are working with the contractors to make sure that those piles are driven in accordance with the contract document and the specification. Same thing. So we do that. Now I'm fast track for a bit. I know everybody won't be able to understand it. So now we have our footings. Now we go into the concrete now, the class of concrete that we need. The department will be responsible to ensure that they have a bulletin, and that bulletin will specifies our various concrete plants. So we have these plants, based on the same specification would tell us the class of concrete that would be placed. So now we know, for example, we say we have class A concrete. We have, class B, that would be single A concrete. We have double A, triple A concrete, depending on what part of the construction of the bridge that we're trying to. So, for example, we're pouring the footings, and that the footings that we're pouring, maybe that class is. It depends. It depends on what the department is gonna pick. Since that's the foundation, it has to be solid, it has to be strong. So let me to backtrack. Now, concrete is a combination of Portland cement. You have coarse aggregate, and you have fine aggregate. You have H2O, which is water, and also sometimes we have admixtures added to the concrete so that it can slow down the ability to cure. We don't want it to cure faster, because if the concrete does cure faster, then it starts to shrink, and that's something we want to avoid. So now we have established our concrete plant, right? So we have these plants. The plants are using. We have, in fact, even before that the project begins, the contractors will have pre-construction meetings where it will tell us how, the material will be mixed and where it's going to come from, how it's going to be delivered to the site, how it's going to be placed, and things like that. We'll have testing agencies that will be responsible for making sure that they are, testing the material to make sure that the material is in conformance or meets the specification as well. So now we have the plant, right? So, for example, we have the footings. So at the plant now makes something we'll also call that mixed design. That mixed design for the particular class. Like I said, based on the bridge, a bridge has several members. We have the superstructure, which is the actual bridge that the car sits on. We have the approach slab. That's another component of the bridge. We have the parapets. Those will be maybe the rails that you can hold. We have the abutments. They are members that you have the superstructure sits on. It's more like the span. So you have the bridge member. Next time I'll have my board here where I can show you some diagram. Followed by that will be now the parapets, not the parapets or the abutments, and then you have the wing walls, right? So now that we have all of those things established, right? What's more important? Anybody can build anything, but we want to make sure that it's being built in accordance with the contract, plans, and specification. So they're not just going to come here, we're giving the contract to Chinese people, and then we having them, come and give us what they want to give us. We want to make sure that they're giving us what we want, what's in the contract, what's in the plan, what's is required. So now that we have all that established, now the concrete based on the class, the concrete is mixed, is placed on the concrete mixed structure, is sent to the site. Before we even leave the site, because there are other things that we want to check. We want to check the air. We want to check the temperature. We want to make sure we are making cylinders, because those cylinders now will be used, as sample or core samples that we can verify to make sure that, that the concrete that is curing on site, if it fails, based on what's going to happen at the lab, we then definitely know. So the concrete now is delivered to the site. We have our technician on ground, as well as, testing agencies, or we have a consulting firm that's required to monitor, those testing agencies. So the test to make sure that, to verify that that's the particular class of concrete, that concrete will be tested on the site based on the ticket or the receipt that's going to come. So we look at the ticket, we verify, make sure it's the particular class of concrete. And not only that, when we check the water and cement ratio, before it's discharged from the truck, concrete takes an hour and a half. It takes an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes from the time that the concrete is bashed to the time it's placed. We want to make sure that within that time frame, that concrete should be placed, because if it's not placed, then the concrete starts to lose its strength. So then the concrete is brought on the site, it's tested, and we cannot get all the requirement, because we make sure that particular concrete that's delivered to the site is right there now, right? So we have that, we bring it to the site, it's tested by the technician. Now it's placed. So we place the abutment, we place with the wing. Those are different class, but I'm just using. So we have our whole bridge. But what I'm trying to say here, because I know one thing that's more important here to people talking about, the audit and this and that. So it starts from there. So now we're checking, we're verifying that that's the actual class of concrete. We're verifying the air. We're verifying the temperature. We're verifying now, we're making cylinders, that will be the representative sample of the entire concrete that is being placed. And once that's placed, now we have 7 days. We can give 7 days. We can give 21 days, and then we'll also have 52 days to go back and check the material to make sure that the material is in conformance with the contract specification or the mix design. How can we verify that? So the cylinders that we make sure if we look at our ticket says 4% air, and then we have the technician, he performs the test, he verifies it. We have to be within that, within tolerance. Now we get that taken care of. Then the next thing there is we do slump. We do the slump, whatever it is. If it passed that, that's fine. Then now we go to, how do we really verify the strength? So we have to do cylinders. Those cylinders are representative samples of the whole. But before that's I'm using the concrete as an example. Another thing, the class of rebar that we call, that rebar now in Liberia, you call it steel rod. We also want to make sure that that's the particular class of rebar that's supposed to be tested. So, we have the invoice come, and then we verify, because even before that concrete's poured, all of the steel workers have already installed all of the steel. So we have the steel, whether the steel for the abutment, the steel for the superstructure, the steel for the parapet, the steel for the pro slab. We have all that, But all the concretes the concrete that we replace, they are different classes, and once we do all of that, and we're doing that, we don't pour the concrete monolithically, meaning that we don't pour the concrete at the same time. We pour the footings. We're done with the footings. We come back. We pour the abutments. It's more like piers that the superstructure sits on. We pour the parapets. We pour them and we're testing them. We're verifying them, making sure that, and that's more important than just taking our contracts and we're giving it to these people to come to the country and give us what they want to give us. If we can do that, we will be saving our country millions of dollars, or maybe thousands of dollars, based on the size of the project. That's just a gist of what, a bridge construction. It's kind of like, because I can't go into the details since it's a little bit more technical, but having the specification, having the contract, will help us. And then not only that, but reinforcing it, following through, with the contractor, making sure that the work is being done, per plan and all that stuff. And also another thing we need to consider here is to make sure that those contractors have the required equipment to get the job done. Because if they done, they can get the job done. And even before that, now that we talk about the contract again, we want to make sure that we're verifying that those companies, have history of doing the job. But we're not going to allow, the department to give our contract, taxpayer money to companies that are not equipped to get the job done. I just wanted to bring that to the table, so this, the ordinary person can understand, have a gist, have a clue as to why it's important for our department to have, those contracts all line up, have our specifications. So everything starts within the department. It starts within the department. If we can do that, we will be saving our country. If we can do that, we will be building quality into our roads. If we can do that, we will be upgrading the standard of our construction in Liberia. And another thing, now that I talk about the bridge, we could get into road construction that I don't want to really get into now. But what's also important here is strengthening our craftsmen, our plumbers, our electricians, our masons, we got to strengthen all those people. How do we do that? We need institutes, to train our plumbers. We need institute to train our iron workers. We need institute to train our electricians. We need institute to train our carpenters. And not only training those people, but to ensure that those people have been paid properly, So I wanted to kind of talk about this, because every time I have a conversation with someone from the department, what they tell me here is that, we have all this and we have that, it's in the book, we don't have to, but we're just not enforcing it. But you know what? We have to review these contracts. We have to review our specifications. We have to make sure that, our specifications are up to date. And if we can do that, then, because it answers the question as to what type of infrastructure we want. And we can do the same for our road construction, because why are we building roads that are of substandard? Why are we building roads that are not lasting long? Because the road now has the roadbed. Think about it. The soil, our drainage. You have to consider the drainage. You also have the road, the asphalt, the grade of asphalt, what type of asphalt. Asphalt also contains, aggregates, when you're talking about the petroleum and all that stuff that form part of the bituminous. So those are things that the department will have to be a little bit straight on. Same thing. The department must make sure that they have bulletins where they have these plants that will be designated to produce, the particular job mix formula for our asphalt, the different class of asphalt that will be placed. And guidelines as to how the material is going to be taken from the plant and be delivered to the site. Same way, before the material is placed, verify is the right material. When the material is placed, we make sure that the contractors, again, that we're giving these contracts to, we want to make sure they have the right equipment, and even as the material is placed, we're verifying, we're following through and all that stuff, So those are things that, in subsequent time that I'm really going to, come here with a nice, decent proposal to the Republic of Liberia to make sure that we are holding those we are giving our contracts to, we are holding them accountable. If we do that, we'll be saving money. One may see it as being expensive because we're employing all these people, these testing agencies, these consulting firms, and we need independent body because, we need a check and balance. And that way we will have better infrastructure, we'll have better roads, better bridges, and then all we need to do now is to follow through to maintain them, because now we have created standards. So with the standards that we have, we can just follow through with all of those standards. So that's something that I just want to kind of talk about today a little bit, even though, like I said, I'm going to go a little bit in depth. I'm going to make a nice, fine proposal. And we're going to also have some pictorial here, subsequently, in the foreseeable future where, so people can have an idea as to what type of infrastructure we want. Now, Monrovia is so overcrowded that you can't do too much. All people are doing down there, they're just resurfacing these roads, Just by putting asphalt on the road does not mean that you're constructing. We're talking about new road construction. So, for example, the road, even the road, the Roberts International or Highway, whatever it's called. I don't know the name of that highway. But what class of road is it? That's something that we need to bring to the fore, to know the road classification, the roadway classification. So, and then once we put together our specification, for our national roads, for our intercounty roads, and then our municipal road, all we have to do now to sit back, and all we're going to do now is just follow through, So the essence of this is just to highlight the importance of why, we should encourage, other experts to come on board. The We Too movement like to encourage everyone. If you're a nurse, you come with the same idea. You can come in, give a little bit of background or come and teach, come and give some kind of knowledge. If in accounting, come and do the same. If you're an IT specialist, you can come on board. We need to empower people. We need to strengthen our people. We need to create a middle class. How can we do that? And then agriculture, if you're into agriculture, you can do the same, We don't want to be in the business of giving our people handout, because a lot of times our people are in the business. So for example, you send 500 bags of rice to the people. All they do, they eat the rice, and the next thing they're going to do, and they'll come back for handout. So how about we train our people? Look, Liberia is not poor, but it is the Liberians that are poor. That can be a topic that we can talk about, even though I just give a little bit of insight on the contract specification, our roads and our bridges or whatever. I'm going to go into that. But again, I want to talk about, why it's really, really important that we stress that. We stress empowering the people. The people the land is fertile. We have everything. We have diamond, we have gold, we have rivers, we have the ocean. Our people can get into fishery, our people can get into agriculture, our people can get into plumbing, our people can get into masonry. Why you have a Chinese man? Today's topic is just broad. Why you have a Chinese guy come from China and take over our fishery? Why you have a Chinese guy come over and take over our market? Why you have a Lebanese guy in the country that we give him more contracts, even to do our road construction, when we have people who have the expertise? Why you have, a Chinese guy or an Asian guy come and just dominate the economy? Those are things that we need to eradicate. But how can we eradicate it? Just like I just try to give a little insight on road construction, on bridge construction. We should be there about, more about trying to empower our people, to strengthen our people. And once we can do that, we'll start reducing the dependency rate, because Liberia is not poor. It is the people of Liberia that are poor. I think Kwame Nkrumah said that once. He said Africa is not poor. It is the Africans that are poor. And so if you're watching the We Too All Liberians movement platform. You're distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. I feel as though once the minds of our people are changed, once the minds of our people decolonize, it's a way forward. It's a way of raising them from the pit. It's a way of emancipating them, empowering them, so that they can be self-sufficient. But if we're not doing that and we think that we'll be up there and we have these people down, it's going to be a problem because they're always going to be on the other side trying to stretch their hands so that you can give them. But we should be in the business about empowering them. And so that's why when you learn, when you have acquired whatever you've acquired, the degree that you've acquired is not so your degree is a social contract. It's a social contract for you to give back to your people, for you to educate your people and make their lives better, And so that's all I'm here to say tonight. I didn't have a lot to say, and I started the show, using Benjamin Elijah Mays, former president of Morehouse College, who served the university for approximately 30 years. He was the one who actually, it was under his tutelage that Dr. King became brave. It was under his tutelage that Dr. King, it became a powerful civil rights a leader. So we have I have a responsibility, whatever you have learned, now to pass it on to someone. We got to fight for that country. We got to make that country better. We got to empower our people. We got to raise our people from the pit. Liberia has it all. Like I said, I'm not going to sound redundant. We have rivers, we have forest, we have diamond, we have gold, we have rubber, but we can't have people come from overseas, use take advantage of our resources, build roads that would take our resources to wherever, maybe to the seaport. Look at that. And then you leave our people in darkness. We got to copy what Nigeria is doing. We got to copy what Ghana has done. We got to copy what Rwanda is doing. We got to copy those African countries, Because at the end of the day, we're Africans. And sooner or later, we want to make sure that we can compete. Those are our counterparts. So we can't be far behind, especially when in fact we are the oldest republic on the continent, So today's topic again, it's not about a particular topic like I started with peace and reconciliation, which I think is very important because of all of the lies, People now are about themselves. People are about, enriching themselves. I'm kind of skeptical, and we'll keep an eye on this unity party, this government. We want transparency. People talking about the audit. What's big about this audit? That shouldn't be a problem. And the reason why it shouldn't be a problem because audit should just be a standard practice. If you're leaving, and so for example, because I want my people in Liberia, the ordinary people to understand, if I have my way to my market, or my table market, and I was traveling, or maybe I was leaving now, and someone is going to come and take over, of course, I have to declare what's left, what I made, give it to them, and then they too can have that. And maybe I can follow up on phone calls, to make sure that, look, what's there, what's not there. And if they're leaving, then we can have someone else can come and take over. So what we need is a system, structure put in place. And that's why this audit is going to be difficult. The reason why it's going to be difficult because we don't have the infrastructure. We do not have the system. So now this government will be responsible with all of the knowledge because the CDC government, that government was inept, right? Everybody said the government was inept. Now that we have the professionals, we're calling on the professionals now to ensure that they're denying shouts, to ensure that, they're putting in place the infrastructure that will follow, the issue of gas card, the issue of all this, cell phone card or whatever they call it. Those are things, people taking commodities to the country. You got your container. All those things we should have a system. So now if you're talking about auditing these people, it'll be easy because you have a computerized system that can track every penny that was spent. But we don't have that infrastructure. So to an extent, it's going to be biased. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it. We have to do it, but we have to look at it from the perspective where we're talking about building the infrastructure, not to shame someone. You know what I mean? Not because if you go back to Ellen's government, they too embezzled. If you went back to Taylor's government, they embezzle. And like I always said, corruption is more of a tradition. It's a culture in Liberia. And that's why I said, you talk about the 10 Commandments. The guy would steal, the guy would murder, the guy would commit, he would cover his neighbor's goods. He would engage into all of the inappropriate act, But the only thing that he's more concerned about, and that's the 11th commandment, and that's not be caught. So we want to make sure that we are changing things, We are putting into place a system. And this is exactly what this government should be built on, that foundation. This is the perfect opportunity that we have. If you guys are going to come back now, because for me, I'm not looking for a job. What I want to make sure that this country is brought up to a level where everyone will have a seat at the table. I'm talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Equality, justice for all. That's exactly what we want. We don't want to have the masses, living in abject poverty, and then you have just one group of people, Again, this is the We Too All Liberians movement platform, your distinct and dynamic platform that speaks to and for the masses. We are not in the business of manufacturing players, pimps, and hustlers. Rather, we are in the business of changing and revolutionizing the thought process of our people, not only in Liberia, but even around the world. We have to decolonize. Liberia is going to be better. The time now is, I'm pretty sure, is a little past 9:10. So I don't want to be up here for too long, but I want to thank everyone for, tuning in, for watching. I know it was a little different today, and that's what it is. The insight on our contracts. I started with reconciliation, and then talk a little about contracts or vibration, our rule. So without some kind of graphic, it's kind of difficult to understand. But we're going to make sure we are holding this government feet to the fire. They're not just going to build whatever road they want to build for us. We are going to ensure that whatever they do, this is the new Liberia. This is the new Liberia. So we'll hold them accountable for whatever they do. Now that, we're going to go ahead with this audit. Audit should not be a problem. It should never be a problem. It's standard practice. So the guy who is being audited or audited, please do not take it as witch hunting or whatever. We need continuity. This is the beginning. It's about Liberia. It's about Mama Liberia. And let us just begin on a new footing. Again, I have been your host. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you guys here sometime next week. You have a good and a blessed night. Bye.